At 3:14 a.m. Eastern Time this morning, a courier from the Vice President's residence arrived at the Capitol building. He was carrying two envelopes. One was addressed to the Speaker of the House. The other was addressed to the President pro tempore of the Senate. Inside those envelopes was a single sheet of paper that has effectively split the United States government in half. It was a declaration signed by the Vice President and a majority of the cabinet, stating that the President is unable to discharge the powers and duties of his office. This is it. This is the moment constitutional scholars have had nightmares about for 50 years. The 25th Amendment, Section 4, has been triggered. But here is the twist. Here is the reason Washington, D.C. is currently in a state of absolute paralyzed terror. The President is refusing to accept it. We are receiving reports that the President has locked himself in the residence. He has issued a verbal order to the Secret Service to bar entry to the Vice President. He has declared the Cabinet's vote illegal and a coup. So right now, at this exact second, we have two people claiming to be the Commander-in-Chief. The Vice President says, "I am acting President under the Constitution." The President says, "I am still the President because I was elected." And the military? The military is staring at two different orders from two different people. Hit that subscribe button right now. Do not rely on the mainstream media to tell you the truth about this. They are trying to verify information while the country is falling apart. We are bringing you the raw intel as it happens. To understand how dangerous this is, you have to understand exactly what Section 4 of the 25th Amendment is. Let me break it down in plain English, because this is the mechanism that is currently tearing the government apart. Most people think the 25th Amendment is just about what happens if a president dies. But Section 4 is different. Section 4 was written for a specific scenario. What if the president is alive, but he's gone rogue? What if he's mentally unfit? What if he's in a coma? Or, and this is the scary part, what if he is a danger to the republic? It allows the vice president and a simple majority of the cabinet secretaries, that's 8 people, to sign a letter saying he can't do the job anymore. The moment that letter touches the Speaker's desk, the President is stripped of power. Instantly. He doesn't get a hearing. He doesn't get a trial. The power transfers to the Vice President like a light switch flipping. That happened at 3:14 a.m. The switch was flipped. But the President can flip it back. The Constitution says if the President writes his own letter saying, "I'm fine," he gets his powers back. Unless the VP and the Cabinet write another letter within 4 days saying, "No, he is not fine." If that happens, Congress has to decide. But we aren't even there yet. We are in the first few hours. The acting president, the VP, is trying to set up a government, and the elected president is barricaded in the White House trying to fire everyone who signed that letter. Smash that like button if you think the cabinet did the right thing, or hit the dislike button if you think this is a deep state coup. I want to see the ratio on this video because it tells me where the country stands. Let's look at the historical parallel here, because nothing like this has ever happened. The closest we ever came was 1919. President Woodrow Wilson had a massive stroke. He was paralyzed. He couldn't speak. For months, his wife, Edith Wilson, basically ran the country. She decided who saw him. She decided what papers he signed. It was a secret presidency. The 25th Amendment was written specifically to stop another Edith Wilson situation. It was written to ensure that we always have a functioning president. But the authors of the amendment made a fatal mistake. They assumed that everyone would play by the rules. They assumed that if the cabinet said it's over, the president would go quietly. They never planned for a president who would look at the Constitution and say, "I don't care." Here's the situation on the ground at the White House. Sources inside the West Wing describe it as bedlam. Staffers are crying in the hallways. Some are packing their boxes and leaving. Others are shredding documents. The president's chief of staff, who reportedly refused to sign the letter, is currently issuing orders to the press office to call this an illegal insurrection. They are drafting an executive order to fire the Secretary of State, the Secretary of Defense, and the Attorney General. Think about that. Can a president fire the people who are trying to remove him? If he fires them after they sign the letter, does it count? Or are they already his bosses? This is a legal paradox that has no answer. It's like Escher painting a government crisis. The most terrifying aspect of this, and this is the part that should make you lose sleep tonight, is the nuclear football. Wherever the president goes, a military aide carries the football, the briefcase with the nuclear launch codes. Another aide carries a matching briefcase for the vice president. Usually the VP's codes are inactive. They only work if the president is confirmed dead or incapacitated. But at 3:14 a.m., when that letter was delivered, the VP became the acting president. Legally, his codes should have gone live. Legally, the president's codes should have been deactivated. But who flips that switch? The National Military Command Center at the Pentagon. We are hearing reports that the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff is currently in the tank, the secure room in the Pentagon, trying to figure out whose codes are valid. If the president orders a strike right now, does the military follow it? Or do they say, sorry, sir, the vice president is in charge? If there is even 1 second of hesitation, if our enemies realize that nobody knows who has the finger on the button, we are vulnerable. We are naked. Don't go anywhere. The details of why the cabinet did this are coming up next, and it involves a secret recording. Why did they do it? Why now? Why not wait for the next election? According to a leak from a senior Justice Department official, the cabinet met in secret last night at the Naval Observatory because of a specific incident that happened yesterday afternoon. Details are sketchy, but rumors are swirling that the president ordered a military action on U.S. soil. Allegedly, the president ordered the deployment of active duty troops to seize voting machines in a swing state. The Secretary of Defense refused the order. The president threatened to fire him and do it anyway. That was the red line. The cabinet realized that if they didn't act last night, the troops might be in the streets by this morning. This wasn't a political disagreement. This was an emergency brake pull to stop a dictator move. But now the president is spinning this differently. He is going on social media, despite his aides trying to take his phone, posting that the globalist cabal has infiltrated his cabinet. He is calling for his supporters to surround the White House. Come to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, he posted. Protect your president. We are seeing live feeds of crowds gathering. People are showing up. Some are armed. The D.C. police are overwhelmed. The National Guard has been requested. But remember, who authorizes the National Guard in D.C.? The president. If the acting president on the VP tries to call in the Guard to secure the White House, and the president orders the Guard to stand down, who do the soldiers listen to? Drop a comment below. If you were a general right now, who would you listen to? The man elected by the people or the man appointed by the Constitution's emergency clause? This is the ultimate loyalty test. Let's talk about the Secret Service. These agents are trained to take a bullet for the president. They spend years building a relationship with him. Now suddenly they are being told that the man they protect is no longer the president. They are being told that the guy across town, the VP, is the new boss. We have reports of a shouting match inside the Secret Service command post. The detail leader for the president is refusing to let the VP's team enter the White House grounds. He is reportedly saying, I take orders from the president, and until he leaves this building, nobody comes in. This is a standoff with guns. Secret Service versus Secret Service. The vice president is currently setting up a White House in exile at the Eisenhower Executive Office building next door. But he can't get into the Oval Office. He can't get into the Situation Room. He is trying to run the United States government from a laptop in a conference room while the actual president holds the fort next door. Subscribe right now. You need to be here for the next update because the 4-day clock is ticking. Here is what happens next. The Constitution says the president can send a letter to Congress saying, I am able to discharge my powers. He is reportedly writing that letter right now. The moment he sends it, he gets his powers back. Instantly. Then the VP and the cabinet have 4 days to send another letter saying, no, he isn't. If they send that second letter, the power goes back to the VP and Congress has to meet within 48 hours. Then Congress has 21 days to vote. They need a 2/3 vote in both the House and the Senate to remove the president permanently. If they don't get the votes, the president stays. So we are looking at 21 days of chaos, 21 days of two presidents, 21 days where every single order, every bill, every movement of troops is going to be contested. The markets are crashing. The S&P 500 futures are limit down. Foreign leaders are calling, but they don't know who to call. The British Prime Minister reportedly called the White House switchboard and was put on hold for 20 minutes because there was nobody to answer the phone. This is what a failed state looks like. We used to laugh at other countries when this happened. We used to say, that happens in banana republics, not in America. Well, look around. The bananas are here. There is a very real chance that this ends in violence. If the president orders his supporters to breach the gates, if the VP orders the military to remove the president by force, we aren't talking about politics anymore. We are talking about civil conflict. This is the stress test. The Constitution was designed to bend, but it wasn't designed to break. Today, we are finding out if it can survive the ultimate pressure. I am going to stay live. I have monitors on the White House lawn, the Capitol, and the Pentagon. If the president sends that counter letter, I will read read it to you live. If the military issues a statement, you will hear it here first. Do not look away. Do not assume this will work itself out. This is the moment where history holds its breath. Hit that like button one last time to help the algorithm spread this warning. Share this with everyone. The 25th Amendment has been pulled. The grenade pin is on the floor. Now we wait for the explosion. Stay tuned. Stay vigilant. I'll see you in the next update.